Today, we talk about building an offensive playbook. And the keys to building an offensive playbook is you want to make it short and simple. We usually try to keep our playbook between 10 and 15 pages. Normally, you're not going to get any kid, any age, even high school players, to read a 50 to 100-page playbook. We like to break it up in sections so they have an understanding of how the flow works. Know your audience. The type of playbook you're going to make for a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid is not the type of playbook you're going to make for a 6 or 7-year-old. So have an understanding of what you can and can't put in those and also in your scheme. You don't need it all. You don't need to put every single thing that you're going to do in the season, every single play of every single formation with every single motion in there to make it, 400 pages so that everybody's overwhelmed. Just put the base play out of your base formation in the playbook, and they will learn it that way. And then as you go throughout the year, you add formations and you add tags and you add other things to the playbook, then you can go into greater detail on the field. Okay. Titles and verbiage with the diagrams always helps. What their base assignments are, what the blocking schemes are, what the formations are, if there's any specific line calls. And then obviously what the goals and philosophies of what you want to do offensively. If you want to put that in there, just don't make it 4 or 5 pages long on goals that you want to do offensively, because realistically, you're not going to accomplish 4 or 5 pages worth of goals. Make it 1 or 2. Want to play fast. You want to score in 9 plays on every drive. Things, but make them realistic. Obviously, scoring in 9 plays in every drive is going to be problematic. And then the other thing you want to do when you're designing your playbook is you want to make sure that you put a scheme together that matches the talent that you have on the field. Okay. So we're going to go through this playbook real quick here, just so that everybody has an idea of how we put together playbooks. So the first page of a playbook for us is we're going to have the team that we are, and then underneath will be offensive playbook, because we're probably going to have the same type of title page for our defense and our special teams. So this allows them to understand that this is the offensive playbook. Then we go to the second page and we want to put positional information in there. We want to talk about what the linemen are, what their splits are, where the quarterback lines up, where the running back lines up, where the slots and receivers line up, what the position on the field is called. We use letters. Some people use 4B for 4 back or 2B for 2 back, depending on what you want to do. There, we want to talk about what our receiver splits will look like in terms of if we're in doubles, if we're in trips, what they are to the boundary, what they are to the field. Then we want to go into our types of blocking schemes that we have. Obviously, as you can see, we've got 3 types of blocking schemes. We've got a zone blocking scheme. We've got a gap blocking scheme and a pass blocking scheme, and we go into detail, a little bit of detail on what that is, and we'll teach more on the field. Then we go into what our formations look like and just basically put our formations up there. We don't put plays in there. We don't put motions in there. We don't really explain too much about them, just what the formations are. So if we call Eagles and you're the H receiver, where would you line up if we called Eagles? That's all the expectations that we know or want from having the playbook, okay? Then we go into motions. What type of motions are we going to run? And then we show like how the player would run them. And then again, we'll implement those as the season goes on. We'll teach them on the field. Normally when we go install an offense is we'll bring the offense together in a huddle. We'll show them a 1-page picture of what we're trying to accomplish. Then we'll walk through it. Then we'll jog through it, and then we'll run through it. And then once we feel comfortable, we'll go up against the defense. Okay. So we run an RPO game. So that's the next chapter of the book. Another, section of the book. We talk about so this was geared towards 12-year-old players. So normally if it was geared to an older audience, I would only put the play into the right, so that they should have an understanding at an older age, 17, 18 or whatever, that if the play is to the right, we also run it to the left. But because these are 12-year-old kids, I want to make sure they have an understanding of what they're doing with Miami to the left, Miami to the right, just some quick now screens off of inside zone, real simple RPO for any age group. And then Memphis was similar, but out to the back. So we basically put our RPO game in there. We continue our RPO game with Montreal, which is a kind of a takeoff on stick, Georgia, which is our jet sweep, Purdue, which is our A gap power, and then Montana, which is our buck sweep. So we have that. And then in red, you'll see some things in red there that we have. And that's things that if we call Montreal to the right out of a out of Eagles formation, well, the Y is now running a 4-yard hitch instead of running his broken arrow. So we, you know, based on we do put that in the playbook, so they do have an understanding that if we are switching a formation up, if their route changes or blocking assignment changes, etc., just make it easier for them as we go. Makes it also easier for all the coaches you have on the team. Okay, so again, that's the section. Then we get into our pass game spot where we've got Baylor and Toronto, which are one's a quick game concept, one's a pocket movement concept that we utilized. And then, you know, Toledo and Arizona, two of our other passing plays that we had. So this is how we structure our playbook. You could definitely add layers to this and tether it together with other types of things, but we want to keep it concise and simple. We want to make sure that any player, whether they've played before or not, has some sort of a visual cue as well as some verbiage that they can take to the field with them after looking at the playbook. And we also know that if we make it more than, you know, 10 pages, 15 pages max, most players aren't going to read this playbook. So again, we want to make sure that it's informative, but yet simple. And there's going to be questions. It's not going to answer every single thing, but we want the base in there. We want our base offense. So base Baylor, right? The running back needs to know what he's going to do in base, where he's going to line up, and he gets that from this playbook. So again, this is MFQ football. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. There's lots of cool things coming. We appreciate your support.